is the king.
What's good, everybody? It's Capital J Productions. I'm back with another video, and today we're talking about being a step parent today. I want to talk about this because not too many people talk about it, and especially from the points that I'm coming from. You guys that know me, that listen to my videos, y'all know I go deep and I go hard, and I know what I'm talking about because everything that I talk about from experience. I don't go watch other people's videos and see their takes. Just all the stuff I'm telling you guys about is just based off my experience and things I've learned. So I decided, a long time ago that, that I will take what I've been through and just try to help and educate, someone else so they can avoid a lot of the pitfalls that I've come across. So let's get started. I'm gonna try to keep this as short as possible. But the main reason why I'm talking about this is because for the most part, nobody really talks about being a step parent, and no one really goes in deep to the extent of why you shouldn't do it, right? Okay, so from my experience, there's I'm always an open-minded person, I said it in one video, I'm probably one of the most open-minded people you probably will ever meet. Okay, but the problem with that is that when you start serving God and you start really paying attention to like the way God want to teach you, you soonly realize that God has a lot of rules, and he has these rules for a reason. Now, I have been a stepdad quite a few times in my life, but recently I'm in my second marriage, and of course my second marriage, I've been with my wife for over 10 years now, and it's a very good marriage. I have really nothing bad to say about it. I mean, my wife, she's amazing. But the problem, right? And I have to be real about everything. I've already talked to her about it. And I asked her if she wanted to sit into this, but she has other things that she's going to do, but I'm quite sure she's going to listen to this. But anyway, the kids, right? Like, her kids are not my kids, or at least not by blood, right? So when I did meet her, I was the one, basically the father figure over her kids, even though their dads were still in their life, but I was the one in the household with my wife, with her kids. So the thing about it is, see, back then when I first got involved, I had a whole different mindset. Like, my mindset is, hey, I'll take on whatever challenge, especially if I really love this woman, I'm gonna do it, right? But the problem is, you don't realize, at least as a step parent, you don't realize that you're taking on a basically impossible challenge. What no one really talks about. You're taking on a challenge that you're not going to win, okay? When it comes to like the respect that the dad's going to have versus the respect you're going to have, it's not going to be there, bro. Like, you can wish, and it sounds good, and people may talk about it and uplift it on social media, but the real truth is, your stepkids are never going to love you like how they love their dad. No matter what you do for them, no matter how much you do for them, no matter how much you there for them day in, day out. This is just facts, and this is just something I lived out and watched happen to me, to even me, and in my marriage that I am in now. So trust me when I tell you guys, it's an eye-opening experience, and it made me realize some things, right? Like if I'm trying to raise, someone else's kid, you don't think about, like, you just assume that those kids are going to understand. Like if I tell them, hey, yes, do this, or no, don't do that. This is why you do this. This is why you don't do that. But the truth of the matter is, you don't understand someone else's genes. When you really are linking up with, other, or taking upon another man's responsibility, I should say, right? Like I'm speaking from the father side, right? Or the stepdad side. When you do that, you don't understand the genes, right? Like I don't know their father's genes. So like how they are, I can't really relate to them. They can't relate to me, and I can't relate to them, because y'all gotta understand the power, the power in somebody else's genes. And then I'm bringing my genes, right? I'm bringing my genes from my upbringing, and I'm trying to enforce my genes on somebody else's genes, which is, it's gonna be some problems there, right? So yeah, I've had my share of, I wouldn't say headaches, because kids are not a headache to me. The challenge, yes, and things didn't always go well with me. It's a lot I could tell y'all about. I've been in, like I said, I've been in every situation possible. I had to deal with CPS. I had to deal with, I never was scared, or anything like that. It's just, like I could have easily went to jail behind, just being a step parent, right? Thank God that didn't happen, right? Because I'm a strict person, I'm a strict man, and I'm not going to change for nobody. I'm not about to change for no kids. I'm not about to change for CPS. I'm not about to change for the law. I change for God. That's who I change for. That's what I believe in. That's what I live by. That's what it's going to be. So anyway, when you live like me, and you don't have no fear of nobody or nothing, and you've been through all the things that I've been through, right? You stop fearing anything. You're not scared of nobody. You're not, I've went up against death plenty of times in my life. I've had guns held to my head before. I've been in every type of bad situation you guys probably can think of. So after you go through all of these things, you don't fear anything, and you realize, okay, God is the one who's keeping me on this planet. But anyway, even though I went through everything I went through behind my I'm not really going to get into details of what happened, because really I don't want to put my wife's business out there like that. But it had nothing to do with my wife. It was all me. But you got to think about it. I just want to give you guys some things to think about when you get into these relationships, and somebody else, and getting involved with somebody else's kids. Y'all got to think about this, the not so pretty stuff. Like, what if these kids really don't like me? What if they create a lie to try to get rid of me? You got to think of the worst of the worst, because you don't know, what's in their genes, and you don't know what's possible. Because usually they're gonna pick their dad. Like, they're gonna pick their dad over you, right? So, I mean, I even told, I can even tell you guys this. Like, I've even told one of my stepkids recently that I love them. And do y'all think he said they loved me back? No, they didn't. They just sat there and just looked like, like it was nothing. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's the reality of things is that's how it goes, you know what I'm saying? But I was trying to I was trying to show, that I cared about him, and because like I said, I never had a father ever, or a stepdad, or anybody tell me they love or care about me. So I'm paying it forward. But what I realize is that, no matter what you do, you can pay, you can buy games, you can buy toys, you can buy, so many things. You can provide put food on the table for them. You can give them a house, you can give them a room, you can be cool, you can, you can do everything, and it basically just doesn't mean anything. And you can't take it personal. You have to have an understanding that, hey, they just don't understand yet. You got to understand their kids or their teenagers, and they don't understand. If you're going to do this, if you're going to get involved with somebody else's kid and you're going to be a step parent, you better be thinking about these things. Because if you think for a fact that, the step kids are going to appreciate me, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, oh, they're going to like me, they're going to love me, I'm a good person, blah, 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 has nothing to do with that. You're not their genes, and you got to understand that. They can't identify with you because they can't connect with you because they don't see their dad in you. They see something else. Their genes cannot connect with your genes. It's not possible. And I didn't realize that this was true until later on, as, God started giving me dreams, and, I would talk to him about certain things, and he will, give me certain things. This is why Jesus, one of the main reasons why, he didn't get married, or he didn't have kids, and Jesus didn't even pick a wife when he was here on earth. So there's no way in the world he would date a single mom. Jesus' rules was very strict. He's very strict. You read his story, you read everything he went on. He was strict about everything. So, but yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about today, is just, how it's not worth it. Like, it's not worth the trouble. You're going to have trouble, because you got to understand, I know I'm kind of repeating myself, but it's so true. You don't hear nobody talk about the genes part, how you don't know the history of, the other step parents' genes. Like, you might like I love my wife, right? I love what she stands for. I love how she is. I love her genes, but their dad genes, nah, it's trash. Like, his genes are trash, so, and that's when I'm battling. It's a 50-50 battle, so that's what you guys got to realize. Like, if you got to ask yourself about 1,000 questions, because if not, you're going to end up being in a situation, and then you're like, man, you start thinking, which I never thought, I'm different from everybody else. I think if most guys would have went through the stuff that I went through with my marriage, they probably would have copped out. They probably would have just like, nah, I'm not going through all this. I'd rather just, I'm good. I'm gonna go my own way. I'm not trying to get locked up over something. I know I'm doing what's right. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And, it's just some kid that some other guy's kid really is just don't like me, and probably came up with a lie, just to get rid of me. And, and now I'm basically going to jail because of that. So a lot of guys don't have the balls to, just say, nah. You have to know that God have your back. When you do right, and you do right every day, and you serve God, and you do your best to do what's right no matter what. You don't worry about nothing. You don't worry about, at least for me, I don't worry about anything. I just deal with life, because life, everything got pros and everything got cons to it. But to be honest, and I already told my wife, like, if it was up to me, I wouldn't do it again. There's no way in the world I would. If me and my wife, I said it plenty of times, if me and my wife don't work out, I'm not getting in another relationship. I'm just not. At my age, and everything, like, I only have one kid. I'm a very disciplined type of man. I expect for my woman to be is disciplined or even more disciplined than I am. And I know that don't exist in today's time. So that's the reason why I wouldn't date nobody else or no other woman. Right. So and plus, more than likely, they're going to have kids. And even though they're probably grown, I'm good. I have to get to know those kids, and getting to know those kids. You remember, people, you can't see the genes. Nobody talk about the genes part. That's why I'm talking about it, because it's so important. When you connect with somebody else's kids, you got to think about, like, am I really connecting with them? You know what I'm saying? Do I really know their father? Do I know their father's ways? And I mean, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Does he make good decisions? Does he make bad decisions? Is he a liar? Is he a cheater? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's in those genes? You don't know. The only way you're gonna find out is if you get in there and you're just gonna have to, like, spend a lot of time, ask a lot of questions, a lot of activities, and you got to ask a lot of uncomfortable questions, which most people don't do, and they don't ask those important, uncomfortable questions. So that is the reason why, because I know I'm going to I plan on teaching my stepson not to date, single moms, and this is the reason why, because it's more to it than just, oh, okay, that girl has a kid, has some other guy's kid. You have to deal with all the drama, with him, him trying to tell you how he wants his kids raised or not, how you can't touch his, it's just too much, and then you're trying to figure out this mystery kid, because of their genes don't match with yours, and you trying to figure out, like, why, okay, if I tell this kid A, B, and C, and the kid can't do A, B, and C, you're gonna get frustrated because you don't understand the genes. You don't understand, you know what I'm saying? So, and y'all not gonna mesh, and it's not gonna make no sense to you, so yeah. So I live this. I know, what I'm saying? Like, I know for a fact what I'm saying is true. And, I just hate that there's so many younger people it's like this hookup culture. You just hook up, and then if you get pregnant, you get pregnant. Oh, well. And people are not thinking about, like, what I'm talking about. Like, do you know this person's genes, though? Do you really know how they are? Do you know them in and out? You have to get to know people in and out. Like, I know my wife in and out. I know how she is. I can basically predict, like, what she's going to do day to day. And I'm quite sure she knows me that well as well. So if me and her had a kid together, right, it would make sense, like, for me to have a kid with her now, because I know her so well. I know her genes. I know her. I know what our kid would be like. Like, the chances of, our kid, were they more likely going to be a good person or not? So that's all I kind of wanted to talk about today. I want to know what you guys think. I'm trying to think, would y'all do it? Like, do y'all believe in dating, other people's kids, or would y'all do it? Why would you do it? Why wouldn't you do it? For me, it's a no. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a hard no too. Like, I don't care how beautiful the girl is. I don't care about none of that. I don't care about how banging her body is, or none of that type. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with, okay, you can, because y'all can mesh, but, like, when y'all start getting into some of these serious problems, it could, and the courts get involved and all that stuff, and you about to lose, you about to lose your freedom over some girl's kid, some other guy's kid, and it's not worth it, all because you're not their daddy and they don't want you with their mom, and they're not mature enough to understand what's really going on. So they're still acting out as kids, and they're doing all this, funny stuff, and Of course, they're not gonna actually really come out and tell you how they feel. They're just gonna act out. You're the one who's gonna have to put the two and two together and figure out like what's really going on, and like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. Okay, this is why I need to fall back, or this is why I need to do this. This is why I need to do that. You know what I mean? And yes, God will protect you to a certain point, but you know, it's a lot for us to learn. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot I had to learn, you know, as being a step parent, and realizing like how I'm raising my, you know, our last one right now is completely different than what I started with the first two. So, you know, I'm still strict. I'm always going to be strict. That's because I want what's best, you know, for our kids. You know what I mean? I wanted that for my own kid. You know, I'm strict. Like I said it in another video, I'm strict on myself. I have a lot of strict rules on me. I don't have no friends. Y'all want to know why I don't have no friends? Is because I don't trust people. You know what I mean? I don't trust anybody. I can figure a person out within like probably give me about 2 minutes of talking to them by themselves. I'll figure them out. I know if they real. I know if they fake. I know if they on some, you know, on some scammer type stuff or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's one of my gifts. You know, I can figure people out pretty quickly. You know, I've done it plenty of times. And so, yeah, that's how come I don't have any friends. I don't really deal with people because people don't know how to be real no more. Everybody just lie. Everybody cap about everything. Don't nobody know how to be real about anything anymore. Everything is just show, you know what I'm saying? For show, you know, for social media, stunting for social media, stuff like that, instead of just being real and being who you are, you know? So that's what I have a problem, because if you a grown person, if you a man or you're a woman, you should always be you and just never be scared to tell the truth to anybody, you know, because I'm like that, you know, I'm not scared to tell the truth to anybody on any subject at any time of the day. Like, that's just what it is. But I want to know what you guys think. You know, I want to know if you guys have any experiences. How was your experience, well, with raising stepkids? Was it good? Was it bad? Would you recommend it? Why not? You know, but you know, if you ain't got no experiences and you just taking somebody else's talking points, you know, I'm not interested in talking to you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm just not. Like, I don't care if the person even have, like, now think about it. I don't even care if the young lady, if I wasn't married, right, to my wife, and I met a young lady and her kid was, even if he was nice, I still wouldn't do it. I still wouldn't do it. Not knowing everything that I went through. It's already hard enough raising your own kids and your own genes, and you have to mold your own genes. Just think about trying to raise somebody else's genes, and you got to mold somebody else's genes that you don't understand. You don't understand, like, what, you know, you don't understand. Maybe they have a history of violence that run through their family, right? Anger issues. If you look at the whole family tree of males, you know what I'm saying, none of them ever, you know, challenge themselves. They all just be angry and accept it and stay that way. What's the chances of the kid actually doing it? You guys don't, you know, you got to realize that is important. Genes are important. If you don't believe that, then why didn't God use his own man creation to save the world? Why'd he send Jesus Christ, which is his own seed, right? Why'd he have to do it? Because he knew there was no way in our genes. There was no way we was going to do it. There was no way we was gonna. There was never gonna be a perfect man like him. So he had to send his own genes to save the world, and he did. Because God he knows his genes ain't gonna fail. He knew that he had to put his seed and his genes in this world to save this world. That was the only way. So even if he had to do it, how are we gonna try to go up against that? to say, oh no, you know, it's okay to just date somebody else and, you know, and raise their kids. You're a fool if you think you can do that and you could just override what, you know, it's a reason why God did it the way he did it. But we don't study God enough to understand. We don't study Jesus Christ enough to understand. People just read the word, or, you know, and it's the churches too. They don't do a good job explaining these things. But that's why I make these videos, because I know you guys are not going to hear these talking points from nobody else, you know, because a lot of people just, they don't have the experience, or, you know, they grabbing other people's talking points, you know. They just don't have no wisdom and knowledge themselves, and they just gravitate towards whatever somebody else says on the internet. You have a lot of that going on, especially on YouTube. So there's a lot of things that I'm getting ready to challenge. There's a lot of things I have to set straight, because I know God wants me to set straight. There's a lot of things I have in the works right now. I'm doing. So I'm not going to reveal none of that stuff yet, because I don't want to reveal it. But I do want to know what you guys think on this. Like, do y'all think what I'm talking about is fair? Do y'all think it's unfair? What do y'all think? You know what I mean? That's it for this video. I don't really have anything else to say, but other than the fact that being a stepdad has no benefits at all. Like, I haven't really benefit, like, what, you know, I have to ask myself, like out of all this that I've went through with these kids and I do for these kids, and I'm the one constantly, you know, putting out money. I'm busting my ass at work, you know what I mean, for them. For what? I can't even get a I love you back from one of them, you know. And I'm basically doing everything, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, like, of course I'm gonna feel this way, you know what I mean, when I can't even, you know, I can't even get the proper respect, you know what I'm saying, that I know I deserve. So this is why I say, you know, when you a step parent, I don't know. I think it's pretty much the same as for a stepmom as well, but I don't know, you know. So, but you know, that's for my wife to talk about if she wants to talk about it, but she's not here today, so she won't be talking about it. But for me, it's not worth it. There's no benefits. You get no benefits at all. Like, you just, you waste all your money, you know, on a kid who's probably not, you know, they'll say thank you or whatever, but it's like, do they really, really appreciate it? Are they showing that they really, really appreciate it with their actions? And you can tell. I don't have to go into detail or not. If you know, you know. But that's all I got for you guys today. I'll see you guys in the next video. Y'all comment, like, subscribe, rate. Tell me what's on your mind. God bless. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.